Welcome to another video. This one is a very special one because we're going to talk about the ways that women communicate. Disclaimer before we go into it, at no point in this video do I advise you or anyone else to not take the consent of a woman serious. If you do so, you're a rapist. And I don't want to tell anyone to do heinous behavior in any way, shape, or form. That being said though, we're going to talk about how it is that women oftentimes do not mean what they say. Spoiler alert, they really often don't. And this is a common known meme that everybody here probably already heard and jokes about with his guys, and it is absolutely true. There's nothing that goes against this fundamental truth that women do not express themselves directly. Oftentimes, they speak in a very covert fashion. What they say is not what they mean. Us as men, we can get set off by this fully because we communicate fundamentally different. What we mean is what we say. The choice of our words is the exact message that we are trying to get across. We need to be able to express ourselves clearly, and what we say has to be understood. There shouldn't be much room for interpretation left. If we back in the days were running across the savannah and I'm telling you, brother, I saw a group of deer, I want you to come with me then and there. As well as we need shelter for today. Up until the sun is about to go down at the horizon, I want you to build us a roof. Okay, it is very, very, very important that we straight up communicate with each other as men. And that is a beautiful thing and nothing against this. Yet with the ladies, it is a little bit of a different story. Fortunately or unfortunately, women in the evolution of our species in most instances still to this day act in a social environment mainly. This is obviously all simplified here. Men totally need to be adjusted socially and women totally need to be able to get things up straight, but still, we're operating on a little bit of a different plane here because women in many instances just simply do not have the same abilities as we as men. And I think we're past the point of actually needing to discuss this. This is not a misogynistic take, it is a simple fact. So women in the most traditional sense act in a social scenario. Women don't hunt, women go select berries and weave fabric. It's amazing, it's beautiful, it's absolutely needed. It doesn't require the same agility and flexibility when it comes to the physical domain. They need to be socially very adept, and they also need to, I don't want to say cheat their way through life, but they certainly have to manipulate their way through life a little more than we men do, because women are not as strong as us. If a woman gets pregnant and the guy doesn't care for her, she's going to perish. It's unfortunate, but because of that and because women simply never had the same ability or rights as us, they needed to somehow manipulate the men in their favor. And they did that simply by expressing themselves in a covert fashion. They say something they don't mean, they mean something they don't say, and in effect, we men understand only what they tell us directly, word for word, take them for granted, and I'm pretty sure this is not a very comprehensive explanation of this, which is totally fine, but the point is still that women simply don't express themselves as clearly as we as men do. Although they do, on a different wavelength. It is very comparable to a present. I think that's a very great analogy. So a guy gives you a present, and you open up the packaging, and then you have a box with iPhone 16 written on it. You would probably assume that there's an iPhone 16 inside. You open it up, and hey, guess what? It is. Now a woman gives you a present, you unwrap it, and there's also an iPhone 16 box. If you would open this one, you'll realize that it was just a container for the actual present. And if you think about it, what's the problem? A present doesn't have to be what's written on the box, right? That's not what a present is about. Of course, I guess if you get an iPhone 16 box and there's none inside, you're a little bit bummed out. Still, it could be a great present, and it doesn't devalue it at all. It's just a different way of bringing it across. And the analogy of the content of the message in regards to the women is the emotionality, the resulting tonality, body language, and everything else that falls under the rug when it comes to communication, also known as subcommunication. Men don't really do that much. Of course we do, we're also emotional beings and we also feel a certain way, but if we say something, we pretty much mean it. But now we get into the spicy part of the video, into actual examples. Why and how and when women probably do not mean what they say in the sexual context, because this channel is about dating. We're talking about how you get able to be with a certain woman and get her to interact with you in a sexual way that satisfies both of you and leaves you both feeling amazing. I will give you a few examples of how with me it was exactly that way. Let's start with the first example here. In my last week in Germany past summer, I was riding my bike and I saw this beautiful looking girl. She had these braids done. I was like, damn, better go talk to her. I get off my bike, go up to her real quick and interact in the conversation, right? We talk She's really into me, I'm really into her. We exchange contacts and we immediately schedule a date for the next day. Because it was actually my last day that I was in Germany. I'm now in Asia and I was about to leave. We schedule a date, nothing crazy. We meet up in this park. Everything goes great, everything goes well. We start kissing, arm in arm, really enjoying ourselves. And then I'm basically asking her if she wants to come to my place. And she's already looking at me like, I know what you're trying to do, little boy. Which seemed a little off-putting. Certainly didn't seem the most 100% I'm down, let's go to your place, let's go get it. But you know, I don't care. There's always a chance for everything to happen. So I'm telling her, yeah, let's go. It's very close to here. All goes well, we go home, eat some food, everything chill. Then we end up in bed as things happen. We make out even more and things go down a little more. And then she's like pulling herself away and telling me like, I told myself when I came here, I'm not going to sleep with you. I really don't want to. And although she expressed it in quite a straight to the point way, I thought there might be some room for improvement because she was already down. She really enjoyed the way that I treated her, the way that I touched her, everything she totally loved. But her expression was clear. I came here and I don't want to sleep with you. If I would take her word for that, it would mean, okay, she doesn't want to sleep with me. Let's stop everything here. And yeah, I don't know, start watching a movie or some shit. But this is not how things went on because I knew things are oftentimes not as women express themselves to be. And this is totally fine. It's a little bit of a puzzle here and I'm trying to solve it, okay? You know, many times when women express that doubt that they don't want to get sexual with you, what they actually want is that you pull back a little bit, talk to them and actually understand them, figure them out. What's on their mind? What's in their emotions? They want you to see them. They don't want to just be used as a object of desire. They want to express that there's something within themselves. And in her case, she told me like, yeah, it's just not what I enjoy. It's many times just not what left me very satisfied. It's really nothing against you. I think you're really attractive, but I totally don't want to today. And I hope you respect me. And I was obviously able to respect it. Don't get me wrong. I totally didn't expect her to sleep with me yet. I didn't know if she actually wants to. It was still in the discussion, so to say. But what I understood from her is her message of how she was mistreated in the past, of how she doesn't want to be treated anymore, of how she was left feeling very bad and dissatisfied by other people and by her own choices. Just the act of me listening to her and responding to her messages made her loosen up a little more. One thing led to the next. We just started making out again. All of a sudden, I was in her panties, you know? Then she was really down. It wasn't really like a step by step by step. Okay, she was totally easy and totally simple. I'm not trying to say all of a sudden she was cracked. But you know, you kiss her on the neck, you kiss her there, you go down to a thigh. I spare you all the ins and outs of how we got to finally actually interact in sexual intercourse. And after all, she told me that she really doesn't regret her decision whatsoever. She told me she's very happy that she still opened up to me and that it was a great experience. And I can tell you it was an absolutely phenomenal experience of two beautiful individuals coming together and enjoying themselves. We're still texting to this day sometimes. She told me after she's going to miss me and she would really like if I stay in Germany. But yeah, no bad blood whatsoever. She absolutely appreciated me. But still the message here is that her initial expression was that she didn't want to sleep with me and she won't sleep with me. I just don't want to. She still did it. As we already said, her message was not, I am not going to sleep with you, this is my boundary. Her message was, I really don't want to be treated in a certain way that I was treated before. If you're going to treat me anything like this, there's no way this is going to work out. I want you to treat me a certain way that I enjoy, and we then can go on and enjoy ourselves together. Her choice of words, again, was, I am not going to sleep with you. If I would have taken these words for words, I would have never ended up getting with her, and she would have left thinking, why didn't he do anything? Why didn't he try to get me? This individual, though, was very well raised. She was a very sweet girl, a very intelligent girl. And even though she wasn't directly saying what she meant, it is not for her to do anyways. Because men always have to go get the girl. You have to try to understand her, to read her, figure out what she actually means. This is how a woman feels appreciated. Because otherwise, she's just getting used by you. And now we come to a point where I'm telling you definitely that sometimes you absolutely try to avoid trying to crack her. Some women really thrive on this in a very sick way. They really want you to dig and hammer and try to figure her out in a way that is absolutely mind-boggling and not resulting in any fun whatsoever. They get totally off of having you trying to figure it out so hard that ultimately it's not even enjoyable for them or you. This is really psychotic. And if a woman is like that, and I've had women like this, the fruit is not worth the squeeze. There's another example with this one girl. where she really wanted me to crack her, so to say. But in this specific instance, I really didn't want to. We were already in bed and she was telling me like, yeah, I'm really looking for a relationship and I'm not trying to do anything with you. I really had no mental capacity for that. I was like, okay, whatever. So I like got away from her. I wasn't pissed or anything, but I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna try nothing today. I don't care. There's nothing for me to win. I'm just not having the mental capacity right now. I'm not in the headspace. And I was just chilling. And then like seconds later, she's telling me like, I have a little problem. I'm looking over to her and like, what's the problem? She takes my hand, goes down her genital area, telling me like, it's a little wet. I'm just thinking like, you gotta be joking. So that's how things went. And especially when it comes to sex, women oftentimes don't express themselves overtly like we men do. We men wanna fuck, point blank. Women maybe kind of also want to fuck under certain circumstances, when you treat me a certain way, when I'm emotionally in a certain headspace and everything's working and flowing real well, then I also want to have sex. It's a fundamentally different way that we work as genders, which is okay. We can be different. There's no problem with this. And here also the culture of the girl really matters a lot, because in some cultures the women express themselves way more overtly, and in some cultures they really don't. Another example that I just had recently is with this Asian girl. I'm in Thailand right now and I met this very cute Asian girl. And don't get me wrong, guys. It's not that every girl I'm meeting I really have to like fight for this. Some girls are just like this. Most girls I'm with, it's evident this is what's going to happen and we're going to enjoy ourselves, right? But sometimes girls are simply not that liberated themselves sexually to be able to just go down and enjoy themselves in a certain way. So I was with this Asian girl. It was already crystal clear that she was into me. We were on a date at the beach and she was just constantly touching me. But once we were at home, once we were in bed, which also happened rather easy, she became a little bit closed off, right? She really didn't seem to enjoy it that much. We ended up playing a little bit, like a little bit of jiu-jitsu, a little bit of wrestling. I showed her some stuff, but she still held this position that we are only friends. She directly said it, we are only friends. And I answered to her then, I'm sorry, but I can't be your friend. I think you're too attractive. I couldn't be your friend. And instead of then being like, okay, well, I guess this is a mismatch then, let me go home. She didn't say anything close to that, and we were still in bed, and we were still having a lot of physical contact, but she was still like, you know, keeping me away. And it was a little bit annoying, I gotta say, and sometimes Asian girls are like this, that in their culture, they really, really have to express themselves as being not sexually willing. I don't know why that is, but even if you watch like Asian porn, which I don't really do, you really see that it's all about like, no, I don't want you, no, I don't want you, but of course they want to. I don't know why that is. I don't find that attractive at all. You know, some guys get off of that, of the unwillingness of the girl. I really don't like that at all. Like, I find that super unattractive. Yes, to some level, as I just told you about, it can be totally manageable. But if she's really like making a game out of it, no, I really don't want to, then she gives me the role play idea of I'm raping her right now. I don't really go off that fantasy, I gotta tell you. But regardless, I always made sure like I'm really not stepping over a boundary here. Like, I looked at her and she was like smiling and giggling and laughing, even though she like technically tried to make me understand that she doesn't want to do anything. There was no sign whatsoever of her not enjoying the situation. And then at one point, I always do this. Always when I'm like fighting for a girl, kind of, I always go back and make sure, telling her, you know that we don't have to do that right now, right? If there's anything you don't want, actually don't want, I want you to tell me, okay? I want you to put up a actual boundary. And it's actually funny. Every time I do that, every time I like take a step back of caution, like actually ask for her consent in the traditional sense, the reaction of the girl is really funny. It's most of the time not like appreciative. It's not like, oh, thank you very much for taking me into consideration. What you could expect a girl to react like, you know, a weak, small girl that can't defend herself or whatever. But oftentimes the girl's like being a little bit confused. No, it's okay, you know. What? You don't understand what's going on right now here? Really? You have to make sure? It's okay. Because to them, it's like obvious, right? They just express themselves the way they are right now, right here in the moment. And they just assume that you're able to understand each and everything that they say. Even though for us men, it really often isn't the case. And so I definitely have to make sure that this is the case on a cognitive level. So yeah, one thing led to the next. And we ended up sleeping with each other. She really, really enjoyed it. What else is there to say? We're gonna meet again. And again, from the way that things seemed, you could very well say that I basically went past her boundaries, that I did something to her that she doesn't want to. But I'm telling you, it's not how it is. And I'm giving you all these examples because me in the past, I had many interactions with women where I didn't know that yet, where I didn't know that no doesn't mean no and yes doesn't mean yes. And I ended up having nothing with the girl. What do you think happens in effect when you don't end up escalating and giving the girl what she actually kind of wants ideally from you? She will start to get disinterested really fast. Even though you respected her boundaries, even though you valued her safety and all that, she's just thinking, this guy has no backbone. This guy doesn't get after what he wants and ultimately doesn't even go after what I want for us to enjoy ourselves. I hope I gave you some good examples. Always make sure that the girl actually wants what you do to her. If you don't backtrack, if you don't observe her exactly, then you're very insensitive and you can very easily step behind a boundary that you're not supposed to go to. Respect is extremely important when you want a mutually enjoyable experience. Again, I do not advise anyone truly to disregard someone not giving you their consent. If you do that, you're effectively a rapist. That was it, today's video. I hope you enjoyed that. And if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. I read everything. And if you like this video, please subscribe to this channel. If I reach more people, I'm actually getting more feedback, which in return helps me get better in my dating life. I also have no idea what I'm talking about to a large extent. Ladies and gentlemen, it was nice talking to you, and peace.